120.
120 in the green room.
If 120 was an age, we'd be old.
Yes.
But 120 episodes of a podcast
seems young. Seems very like preschool. Like, are we still preschoolers? Have we gotten to the big school? Have we gotten to
remember, we're at least in the top 50 percentile.
Right.
Maybe even a little higher, but they didn't give me better stats than that.
This is not a standardized test. Like, I do not want to be part of the standardized testing system anymore.
You will be rated on a curve.
You remember back when? Yeah.
They still do curves. I don't do curves.
What does this shape look like to you? That's a rhombus.
Wait a minute. That's a different kind of test.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm getting confused. What's new? Ready? We're gonna do this again. You gotta point at it. It's right down there. Oh, here's it for you. Anywho, I'm not stopping. We need to do. The month of June is shameless sponsorship seeking month of June.
Yeah, we will shamelessly look for the sponsors the month of June, both online and in California.
That's right. At the conference.
Yeah, they need those people in California need not move to Austin to be a sponsor. They can just sponsor the podcast. They don't have to move here. We don't need any more people here. Because we're not going to build any infrastructure for them.
Spend the money on other things than casing on power lines.
Who needs a light rail? Speaking of which, have you seen?
The stirring has started.
Have you seen the sombrero? It struck me as a meme, like an architecture meme, and it's kind of become an architecture meme. But do you know what I'm talking about at all?
No, I mean I know what a sombrero is.
Yeah, no, Los Angeles sombrero, just bus stop
right now. Sombrero. What am I looking for?
You've not found this yet?
Is this?
It's like a piece of metal that's bent and attached to a pole, and it costs like $7,500. And everyone's like, "This is a prototype."
Is it? Oh. Is it? Hold on.
Kurt, is this the first time you've been on the interwebs in like a week?
Hold on, I got too many windows open.
Okay, I see the lights. That thing, yes.
I did see a picture of this. I didn't read the article. Shout out to the Dash Bus.
So what do you see that and go? What's as a designer?
Is it supposed to protect you?
See, there's yes, that's the reaction I expect from Kurt. Like, Kurt leans into like the design review and says, "Is this supposed to protect you?" That's the design instructor I know. Yeah, I don't know. Like it's. I think you have to be like really. See, look at all the people that they're looking at it, going, not sure.
Wow. I'm not convinced either. Let's see. Let's get a better look at this.
Yeah. But apparently,
it's got a light.
Oh, yeah, it's got a light too. So apparently, in the last couple days, people have been trying to go and find this thing, and like it's like a scavenger hunt.
Geocache.
Yeah, like when Tony Hawk says, I'm going to go hide a skateboard somewhere in Los Angeles, and you have to go find my deck. He does that, right?
It sounds familiar.
Okay. So Charlie needs to go do this one day. Like he just take the kids, and just go like track down like a Tony Hawk deck, just for us. I mean, it could be like a sponsorship kind of thing. We can auction it off. I don't know. I'm talking all kind of crazy now.
He doesn't live too far from Charlie, so
Yeah, right. But yes, so Charlie, speaking of what, Charlie can go check this out for us. Give us a scale comparison. Like, does this protect against the sun, UV rays, rain? Does it feel safe at night?
Yeah, this thing is that is a very overcast day, so it's hard to say.
There's a podium. Look at them. They got a podium. Yes, that one.
To announce.
Because I really thought this was kind of a joke at first.
Oh, they look like staffers.
Yeah.
But if you see the other picture, they're like, look at their faces.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced.
No, it's the girl behind the girl in the mask.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, like, where she's kind of giving her the side eye smile, like.
Yeah, she's like, gotcha.
Maybe.
Tax dollars. Oh, what happened?
Prototype. Like I could just hear saying prototype.
So this thing it costs how much?
I don't know, like $7,500 or something.
Outrage grew when it came out that the prototype cost around $10,000.
Mm.
10,000. That's a lot
for that.
I don't really see where you can come up with 10,000. What kind of paint is it? I don't know.
It's like powder coated. It's in the paint booth for about 20 seconds.
But it's only, okay, look here.
Is it going to be bigger?
No, these are umbrellas. These are like
a
better idea.
This is like the patio umbrella.
Yeah. Oh boy, this is a rabbit hole.
Yeah. I don't know what websites you're on, but it looks sketchy. So yeah.
That's good old Google. Thank you, Google.
Yay.
Well, what about these? Why not just this?
Well, because it's kind of tired.
But form follows function. This is kind of cool. Little Zaha. Little swoopy doops. Hey, look, it actually casts a shadow.
Yeah, those people are going to get baked in a minute.
This one's a little better. No? Oh, maybe not. Looks like there's been a lot of money and energy into studying this.
Yeah, sorry for derailing the whole lounge, like on lounging at the bus stop, but I know.
How dare.
No.
That's all right. We can let's oops. All right. Kill it. Put that up. I'm running through our tickers.
I don't even know what that means.
Coffee. It's a place that's soon to host some of our swag.
Yes.
T-shirts, because you have to be clothed.
Right.
Pins. Coffee. The beans.
Because
Rootless is going to be launching the Coffee Sketch Podcast Coffee as soon as we get our proofs back.
Cheers to that.
We're in the clear. Yeah. Hey, ask and you shall receive. We should also bring this up on the game time.
Yeah, we'll do it in the real world. We don't have to. Yeah,
We can always clip this part. So, let me look here. Okay. Other thing I wanted to mention though, which was it the conference? No, fellowship.
yes,
So, I figure
even.
since we're even,
I'm just
even.
throwing words at you. It's just words. It's like
So,
word salad during the lounge. Just getting it all.
sprinkle the croutons on there. A little crunch. So, got
like a jazzy beat in the background.
I'm in the process. Yeah, I'm in the process of preparing an application to the AI College of Fellows, which
is deserved and awesome.
Oh, thank you. I'm not there yet, though. I mean, this is step 1A, or almost like step alpha before 1. I don't know, whatever comes 0. There's like the most incremental beginning step. But so I started compiling some info. There's a committee that's in Michigan that's helping us potential fellows grab our stuff. They were actually very interested in the podcast. So I have homework. So I have homework every month, just like a kid in school. But
no standardized testing. Just say, look, guys,
I pass.
Like, look, all you fellows. Like, I know you're trying to help me out, but I can't do a standardized test. No scantrons anymore.
Yeah. Well,
sorry.
I don't think there'll be.
I should not make light of this very serious topic because of
well, you'll be following in these steps shortly after. So.
No, we all know that's not happening. But it's
well, we'll split the F as soon as we get one. Whoever gets the F first, we'll split it, chop it right in half.
Can we get cake? Can we make the F like a really big cake?
Sure.
Like a mocha cake. Ooh, could it be a mocha cake?
Yes, I'm in.
Okay,
so
mocha cake.
So
mocha cake, spelling out FAIA.
Before we could get to that stage, we have to talk about the homework, and I have to. So they want to know about all the episodes. I have to start categorizing them into buckets. You know, they did like the fact that we had just interviewed Evelyn, and they were like, "Whoa."
Yeah, but did you
Evelyn on the podcast? Big deal.
Yeah. Okay.
It was a big deal.
No. I mean, Evelyn was great. I'm just. But did you say? Do you know I have a twin?
I did not mention that because.
Did you say? Do you know? We had a whole episode where we interviewed somebody about the Black Lodge.
No, but I did talk about our special guests.
Good.
So there's going to be a whole list of special guests, and then
speaking of which,
an elite list of fellows.
Well, we there are a few fellows, but also some really good friends of ours too. Yeah, we've got it's like there are fellows. They're like a dime a dozen. But no. Our good friend Sterling at post convention is all set to do it. And I didn't tell you this little tidbit though. I think it's going to be one of those where Kurt's like live with me and Sterling here. Like you're not live, like you're live where you are, but like Sterling's here. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Both of us on the mic. It'd be great.
Yeah. That'll be a new one on us. A little shared space, but that sounds good. So I'm looking forward to having him on. It'll be a hoot. Remember that time in Galveston?
Yes.
Where we wound up at some really divey Texas diner bar.
Yeah, because I mean, like, where else are you going to go after like an architecture
Nowhere,
convention?
like
But like,
literally nowhere.
yeah, like you're an architecture convention, like, and like you've just done the Pechacucha on the biggest screen in Texas,
That was cool.
and
I still
so
That's
like
gonna
I'm
be
like,
on the list.
oh hell yeah, it is.
Oh God,
I have
I
so
mean
many photos. I have photos. I have so many photos of that. So those
it
are
will be an exhibit.
part of
That will
your
be an exhibit
exhibits. Yes.
because they did mention public speaking about, and then so getting out into Texas. Thank you, Jamie. Talking about the podcast and among other things, work and podcast on a big screen. Yeah, it's an exhibit. That's an
It was a big deal. I think it's good.
Thanks. So that's the thing I'm learning about the framing of all this stuff is that there's ways to weave all these, even if it's somewhat disparate, like well, that seemingly disparate, like or spread out interests. There's a way to kind of loop them all together.
Well, I mean, like you and I were talking about, it's just, you know, when this, I mean, it was a beautiful thing that they asked you, you know, and sort of included you in this. I think, and I think my reaction was like, hell yeah, of course they should, and then quickly you're like, it's a lot. How do I start to weave this together? And then as we talked about it, it's like you said, it's sort of, you know, you were trying to, you know, pull these things from different places, and as you started to sort of list off and think about things that you've done, it's like, you know, you kind of you sort of perked up and were like, oh yeah, I guess I have done this and that, and then my reaction was like, yeah, and sort of there's a nice through line in it's the sharing, you know, I mean, you as a person are somebody who really wants to, you know, in the truest sense of generosity, like share your knowledge with others. The podcast is that. Your teaching is that. I think your practice is that. So I've always known you that way. And I think that, you know, some version of that, you know, in your story just makes a hell of a lot of sense to me. I mean, the fact that you came down and did me a favor, you know, for the event in Texas, which was, you know, at the same time a whole lot of fun to have you in Galveston, you know, is, you know, I mean, all those people on that stage either were friends that I had or friends that I wanted to have. So, you know, and you're and the way those stories all sort of resonate with folks, I think that's a starting place for a whole lot of what we've been talking about.
Yeah, thanks. And well, I don't really look at it like I did you a favor. I think you did me a favor, and now that favor is becoming apparent in an exhibit. Check out dog. Look at this.
Yeah, mine's
Curious.
She's there.
Oh, well. It's a
the
laid back, casual.
Very Purple Pillow kind of day. So.
Oh, look at mine behind.
Oh yeah, that would be the cat. The cat would be totally all up in that business.
You can't really see the feet, but their feet are.
I see them. It's like when a little kid goes behind the curtain to play hide and seek, and you're like, don't know where you are.
And so, one other thing I was gonna say, I already forgot, but I used the whiteboard and shared it with my committee, and they saw my Young Architect Award submission, and they were like, wow, and then they were like, well, it's obvious that you can put together an application, and I'm like, oh, okay. So that was helpful. So
that's great. No, I mean that's good feedback. I mean, you know, I think that's the beauty of it, right? Is an audience who hasn't seen something to give you kind of, you know, honest feedback in the moment.
Impression.
That's that impression. Like you said, that's it. That's good stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of funny after looking at that thing after so many years. So yeah.
Yeah,
So
because you're like old. You're like way old.
yeah. Gray beard. So you wanna jump into the real deal? You ready?
Yeah.
Oh. All right. All right. Well, for those who are joining us, we're taking this show, the pre-show, into the real show. So let me roll intro. I gotta find the right button, and I'll see you in 30 seconds. Speaking of graybeard, that photo has a lot less graybeard.
Yeah, for both of us
going on. And so it is.
It's the magic of technology.
So welcome, Jamie.
Welcome.
120. We
were 120
celebrating episode 120 in the pre-show
whoop whoop
stream. So we made it this far.
Yes.
Which is only 10%.
How
far of the
like is this like a distance? 10% of the distance to the moon. If you listen to podcasts, like what 10% of what?
I don't know. How many episodes do you think we can make in our lifetime?
Ooh. This is like that game where it's like the jar of like hot dogs in a jar
golf balls
of golf tees. Golf tees. There, that's a good one.
Guess the quantity.
How many golf tees in this?
Usually people are well below the real number. So
right.
May that fortune shine on Coffee Sketch Podcast.
Have we, like, in my strange memory of things, as like this is the non sequitur part of Jamie's like it's, I think it's maybe at the lobe back here or something, does this to me every once in a while. It goes, have you thought about so like, like, are you like I'm gonna eat the pickle out of the jar kind of person at the fair?
I don't know. What pickle, what jar, what fair? So many things. So many things need to be explained. Plus, up here, Michigan, I don't know if they do fairs as much as the South. The Texas State Fair is well known. So what's oh, you got somebody here. I gotta show this one. Look, you got some reactions on YouTube. Sean, if you know the answer to this question, tell Jamie.
Oh,
I have no idea.
All right. Sorry.
I didn't know where that was gonna go. I just still don't know. So, what's the metaphor or allegory? I don't.
Dude, there is no metaphor.
Oh,
it's no metaphor, no simile, no onomatopoeia, like no hyperbole. This is just, I told you, it's like sometimes there's that moment where like all of a sudden I'm in a conversation, and I'm not saying that I'm bored, because that would be rude, because I'm not bored. It's just more like there's something that somebody's saying, and like all of a sudden the mind wanders.
So you got bored already?
No. I'm just saying the mind wanders, and then that lobe just kicks in and goes, that reminds me. And you like it's like some weird anecdote And
like I've been meaning to ask Kurt about
yeah,
this
I've been meaning to
forever.
ask you about your experience with state fairs.
You know, I will say, so I grew up in Connecticut on the East Coast.
Is Connecticut one of those states that goes, we are so small that we're going to have a state fair, but it's going to be like 3 or 4 states all together?
I don't know. The New England State Fair.
Yeah, like
No,
a New England state fair,
the
like
tri-state area.
yeah.
I often every year I always looked forward to the St. Leo's Church fair or whatever carnival, whatever. So the Catholic Church always did a Catholic Church,
Yes.
not but a Catholic Church in Stamford, Connecticut, St. Leo's used to do uh, a carnival for a fundraiser and all that, and they had rides and food midway and all that stuff. But in the East Coast, right? So very close to New York City. So around here in Michigan and maybe down in Texas, you would call it like a funnel cake or an elephant ear,
Oh, funnel cake. Yes. That's
but
like best.
called
That's the best.
pizza frite.
Like a
It's,
like a French fry,
well, no, it's like the Italian influence, so they called it pizza frite.
like
So,
a potato,
well, no, it's an elephant ear, same thing.
but a pizza. How does the pizza figure into
Well,
this?
it's just fried pizza frite, but it's
Mm,
not pizza. It's
mm,
the same dough
mm.
as an elephant ear, the sweet
Okay.
dough,
Yes.
but because it's Italian influence, they just call it that.
Was there powdered sugar?
Yeah, I got mine with powdered sugar. Some
Okay.
people put tomato sauce on it.
What?
Yeah,
Did they
it's
just not
different.
understand the assignment or what?
Well, there was a little bit of it's hyper local.
Sure.
I didn't get it with the tomato. I wanted the sugar, man. I got the sugar.
Okay. Did Charlie get it with the tomato sauce?
No, 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 no.
Okay. Good.
As twins, we followed the same rules on that one.
Okay. Okay. Good. Okay. All right. So, speaking of other
So I'm,
select,
so I'm not really into pickles. As just leave it there.
no. Okay. So, like, I don't know if you have this, like, because we've talked about, and this is sort of as just, just again another prompt you gave me. You're like giving me all of the treasures today. So
Unpacking, just
you're
unpacking.
it's like this is like maybe it's because we were talking about like how your fellowship application like involved unpacking all the episodes. So
Mm.
this is like going in for the Easter eggs within the episodes. And so and then there's a whole level, like there's the Easter egg, and then there's the subtext, and then there's
Oh my gosh,
then there's just a subreddit under the subtext.
the layers.
Um,
Yes.
it's layers, like a really good mocha cake. But so
Too many
um,
inside jokes, one after another.
I'm on. No, so this is going to when we've talked about your penchant and your sort of like in your heart, your love of convenience store coffee. So
Right here.
when you're going to the UP, the Upper Peninsula, for those who've not listened to the podcast before or not a Michigander by nature, um, and you stop at that convenience store and you're gonna get you're gonna get your coffee. When you go up to the counter, like, is there a big like plastic like gallon jug with that's sort of green and it's got like a lot of pickles in it?
Yeah. There's also
So they do have those up there too.
they do, and they have
Okay.
hot ring bologna in jars too.
Mm, that's a new one. See, and for those who've stayed with us this long,
We still got a couple.
there is a
They're
treasure at the end, and
they're dying to know.
it is a hot
Ring bologna
There you go.
from Kogel's.
What?
Kogel meats. A Flint staple. An anchor.
Is this like a real meat processing plant or like a okay?
Yeah, it's legit. Yeah, so it's down by the airport, which is probably the only place you would want a hot dog factory.
Of course, of course. Like, why would you put the meat processing plant anywhere else? It's like Sim City, like airport, meat processing plant.
That's right. Well, when they laid out, yes, when they established
Let's build this place.
Yeah, it's airport,
Airport, meat
meat
processing,
processor, FedEx.
light rail.
No light. Well, maybe in Texas you'll get a light rail.
Yeah, we can dream. We can dream. We can only dream.
You know how they have bridges to nowhere? The Austin light rail will be a light rail to nowhere. Because as soon as it hits the city limit, it's just gonna.
Yeah.
To be determined.
Yeah, TBD. Yeah.
So we should probably find out what's in your coffee that's
right. Yeah,
firing the synapses in the lobe.
No. Yeah, so today's coffee of the day was Cuvée coffee. And it was a dark roast from them, the West Pole. So it is pretty dark. It's not one that I can go to very often, but I will definitely say that I do like it as a dark roast. But it's probably like more of the like make a small pot, not a big. Yeah. So there's that. What about yourself?
I just cracked into a new bag of Rootless, our old friends here in Flint, and it's the damn fine cup of
Our
coffee.
old friends and our new friends because of.
That's right. Yeah, we have a. Well, we should. I'm gonna clip this. We'll make a little timestamp, and send a shout out to our friends over at Rootless because we should brag about it now, right?
Yeah, we told this is the time. This is totally like we've talked about all the crazy stuff. Like this is like
we've already hinted at this too.
And we've hinted at it, yeah.
So we're the Coffee Sketch podcast is going to get its own batch of Rootless coffee in the near future. So get yours while it lasts. Limited supply. and it's gonna bear one of Jamie's fantastic sketches on as the label on the bag. And if you haven't seen us talk about Rootless coffee or hear us talk about it before, where have you been? Because we've been all over it for the past 2 years. What?
2, 3, 4.
What?
Like how many years?
Well, we've been podcasting for 5 years.
Yes. We've been talking about Rootless for how long?
At least 2, maybe 3.
Yeah. So for those earlier listeners who aren't sure if they know Kurt or me and they've just stumbled on the podcast, Kurt has trouble with math.
And as soon as I ran out of that porch pickup coffee.
Yeah. Like yeah, Kurt's like way back to Rootless.
It's like got to get that root. Well, that was pandemic scarcity issues. But anyway, that's a whole other that's a whole other tangent that we don't need to go down. But
yeah,
yes, we're gonna get a branded batch, and then we're gonna for sale. That's not just gonna be for us. As much as I'd love to keep it all.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be fun. I mean, and I think that the for the special guests that we've had in the past, we like to send them like a little care package Yeah, it's great. I'm excited. We've been talking about it for a while. Sean over there has been great and very understanding, dealing with us as designer types. Kurt's worked with them both in the real life with their facility, but also as a connoisseur of many of their varieties. As have I been gifted a few from Kurt. So yeah, good stuff all the way around.
Yeah, excited. And now I just forgot. Well, shout out to Ben, who was on our last episode, and he's going to be getting a care package with some rootless in it.
And then
And
Evelyn,
also,
who will also get one, even though she's not as much on the coffee
oh
tip
right,
as the rest of us,
mm,
but 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 appreciates the good coffee sketch. So this will be something she can maybe share with guests who she thinks are special.
yeah, visitors. Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah, so that's like some exciting recent news, little breakthrough, and we're heading off to San Francisco pretty soon. So this means got to get this episode edited, posted, and then we continue our brainstorm on some of our live antics that we're planning
Yes.
for San Francisco for the AIA 2023 conference, which will include coffee, sketching, a
Oh yeah,
T-shirt or two,
yeah, yeah. There's going to be antics.
walking
Yes.
tours,
Yeah. All the things.
live takeovers.
Oh
You
yeah.
know,
Yes. Of course there will be.
oh, yeah. Expected. If it's expected, it's not a. Is it a takeover? I don't know.
No, no. It's just you're just sort of giving them fair warning.
Right, right.
Yeah.
It's kind of like saying there might be a flash mob today.
Right. Right. Yeah. Just
There
like
might be a
if
dog
Kurt
hiding. A
if
dog
Kurt and I
hiding behind
yeah if Kurt and I can figure out the time change, then we might be able to
it. 1, 2, 3, 3 hours.
2 for me, buddy.
Oh, see.
See,
So our
there's the thing, right? We're already off.
we have
You
to
know.
synchronize swatches.
Yep. Yep. Exactly.
So, well, we'll figure it out. Hopefully, Google will figure it out for us. Our calendars will just automatically, magically sync. You know what we should do? I think the way to do is you make a little test. This is total nerd tangent, but you make a little test calendar event at a time, and then when you go, you fly and you check in, and if that hasn't moved, like you say, this should be at 2 o'clock, and then if it doesn't move, then you know something's up.
That sounds like a lot of effort.
It does, but that's what I do. I make easy things complicated.
Like Post-it notes. We just need a lot of Post-it notes. So
Good old fashioned uh, adhesive sticky notes. Un, un,
we're not branding today. Is that what you're like, Jamie? Come on now. We've talked about the branding.
don't you love that when you watch? You've gotten me on tangent today, but
Good, good.
you watch YouTube and they talk about hook and loop closure, hook and loop, as opposed to Velcro.
I didn't know where I really didn't know didn't know where that was going, and I was worried there for a minute. I thought I thought you were getting dirty or something like that. So I just like,
How could it be more dirty than a jar full of pickles?
well, that's true. That's true. I mean, um,
All right. Should we entertain some fabulous new sketches?
that sounds great.
And we might find a way steer a course back to our namesake Coffee Sketch podcast. But these are going to be fun because and maybe I should zoom. Should I zoom in on one? Because it's gonna be a little. Maybe I'll do two at a time, and we'll kind of jump around. But there's a cluster of four here, which it won't mean that we're going to spend 4 hours on the podcast, but we're
No.
gonna. It's almost like a sort of a mini lightning round. But these are some of my favorites, or in the style of some of my favorites of Jamie's sketches, because they have these sort of deconstructivist, abstract, speculative architecture.
Yeah.
If I try and a sort of thought, it's the truest form of why a sketch occurs, is this making a concept of what could be, and in using general, let's say, form making ideas, as in, they have scale, proportion, relationship to human, so they perceive as a building, at least to me, right? They kind of perceive as some object that could be occupiable. And so as oh, hey, we gotta, let's just take a little break here and thank Sean, who's watching.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he says, love the sketches. Thank you, Sean. Um, please check out um, Jamie's Instagram page. Let me get you that link here. just to because so Jamie is the primary artist of the podcast, and I am just the troublemaker that tries to cobble these things
No.
together.
No. No. You're
I
you're like
I
I mean,
occasionally
because
draw.
I mean, like if you're really gonna just like compartmentalize yourself like that, at least refer to yourself as like the sommelier of the coffee sketch moment.
I like that. Sommelier. Can I get that on the back of my t-shirt?
Yeah, you can be like the sommelier, and I'll be just like the guy who sketches. Like I like to draw.
Protagonist.
Yeah, like yeah, protagonist. I'll be protagonist. Yeah, and ironically or not, or how about appropriately, you were also the one who was the instigator in all this. So we'll just leave it at that.
Catalyst. Chief catalytic officer.
Chief Chief Catalytic Officer. Like
Connoisseur. If you do connoisseur, then it's three C's. So chief
mm,
catalytic connoisseur of
mm,
coffee, 4 C's.
okay.
Well,
There's a
this is
alliteration in that because we were playing with metaphors and similes before. So yeah, yeah.
it's a lot of
Let's go.
is it
Let's go for all the literary terms because there might be a test at the end where
skintrons are coming.
yeah, the scantrons are coming. We might be tracking your progress. Are you ready to go to the next grade level? I don't know.
Well, it yeah. I thought the rules was no scantron, but I guess
Yeah,
the
no scantron.
rule is, first rule, there are no rules.
Ooh, is this Fight Club? Did we just create a whole nother
I
subreddit? Like
coffee Fight Club. But well, I thought the first rule of Fight Club was you don't talk about Fight Club.
that's why there's no podcasts about Fight Club. Can we be the first one?
And so we have to make it. That's a massive pivot. I
There,
feel.
there was a moment there. There was a moment there where your brain just went, "I love it." Like you admit it, admit it. Like there was a moment there where, like, I saw it on the screen for the people who are just listening on Apple iTunes or wherever you get your podcast.
Right.
Like, like Kurt was just totally in that moment, just like that pause was just, it was just, it was perfect.
Except the very first and only episode of that would be 3 seconds long, when it says welcome to welcome to the Fight
Right.
Club podcast. First rule of this podcast is we don't talk about Fight. And
Right.
then
Yeah.
well, our pop culture force is strong today,
Yes. Totally.
but I appreciate it. It's a lot of fun. And We actually have a few people watching, so I mean, surprise. Welcome.
Welcome to the Fight Club Coffee Sketch.
Um, but yeah, so my point was though, in these four, and I've kind of panned back and forth between 2 and 2, but these abstract object buildings have this, the scale and proportion, and the fact that both of us are architects, and so there is that theme or influence toward orienting the view, the perspective of the sketch like a building would be. But these are in what we've talked about, like the paper architecture, the sketch, the idea, the generation or the generator of concept. And I appreciate them. I enjoy them because um, they kind of have this fun folly like and when I say deconstructive is for those that are not super familiar with that uh, realm of architecture practice or history. There was a period of time where it was sort of a postmodern, or let's try and break away from the jargon a little bit, but basically a period of architecture that tried to reimagine classical form, but with certain advancements in material and structural technologies, in the sense that we don't necessarily have to react to just gravity, and you can kind of things can break up a little bit and sort of defy that gravity. And I'm being a little bit general.
Well, I mean,
And
I think it was like a good way that I've tried to explain it to folks too is just it's a time period where the idea of what if sort of reemerges in architecture in a really salient form, like where it's just like that's the through line is you have modernism, blah blah blah. There's certain rules to it. Postmodernism, you start to increase the ornament in a building, and people are kind of playing with materials and color, and then there's a reaction to things, right? There's this kind of this tumult of like emotion and energy, and then with any kind of good art or architecture movement or any kind of movement, literature, film, whatever you're thinking of, it's paralleling what's going on in society too. And so the thing about deconstruction is there's this kind of tension in the world that people aren't sure what to do. And then from an architecture point of view, a lot of folks weren't building things because there was sort of a recession and sort of a downturn in the economy. And so a lot of architects who were of a particular generation were coming out of one school of thought, questioning that school of thought, but then not having the ability to actually see their designs realized. So there's this paper architecture that kind of comes from that a little bit, and deconstruction really, sort of an advent to that. There's a whole lot more to it. There's a MoMA exhibition, Philip Johnson. There's tons to unpack there. But
I mean, if there was a jar of architectural pickles, it
yeah,
would be
yeah.
one
Like, could you
one of many.
imagine? Oh, even better yet. Like, could you imagine, like, if no, that's like this is gonna sound bad. No, okay, so like, okay, we'll save that for another episode. I just was imagining like going to Philip Johnson's office, not the one like in the glass house because that would be super creepy. But like if like in some tower, I don't know which tower, like of his, maybe the Lipstick Building. But there's a. Would he have a desk? Would his desk be mahogany? I don't know if it would be like a big mahogany desk or like something. But what if on the corner of that desk was this big jar of pickles? and you're having a super serious conversation about deconstruction and architecture, and at the same time you're kind of like eyeing out of the corner of your eye and like this jar of pickles, and you're just like there's a weird kitsch non sequitur here, but yeah, too much to unpack.
Yeah. We'll go. We have to go to the history books and figure out. It
Yeah,
could be, but
I did
I
meet
think
him once. I did meet him once. So
really
oh yeah, that's a story. We'll save that for the Philip Johnson deconstructed episode.
that
Um,
sounds well.
there is a sketch, like, for those who are like actually listening right now, there actually is a sketch. Okay, I'm gonna tell it. Can I tell the story?
Sure. Well, did we did a remember we did an episode on the cenotaph
Oh
in
yes, we
did
did.
we
We've already have
tell
we
that
already
story?
talked about this? We've told the story.
Uh,
We
you,
might go.
if
Let's go back and we'll do a rewind. We'll because you have to do a deep dive on the episodes. Maybe we need to do a deep dive on some of these episodes.
I'm deep diving, yeah, the
Yeah.
pickles.
Okay, pickles. There's no pickles involved with the sketch and the story I was going to tell, but okay. So
Shut.
back to these. So back to these sketches. Back to these sketches. Um, what's interesting to me seeing them like, and this is something that is fun about the podcast and Kurt sort of curating some of like what we talk about is these two, though they and those two in particular are in sequence.
Oh, up here.
Yeah, those two are in sequence, but and oftentimes for those who don't follow us, like I do draw every day or try to draw every day and try and post every day. Sometimes I get in a rut and I don't do them, but those two up there, they're both in sequence, and I, just from a technical point of view, the perspective is identical, and
Mm-hmm.
even the scale that I'm perceiving about that realm is identical, and only seeing it now am I kind of making that connection. And I think that's sort of an interesting note. The worlds, though stylistically my sketches have a similar quality, the buildings are very different. The spaces are very different, but the perspectives are almost identical.
Mm-hmm.
The scale of the buildings is very, very similar. And I just find that, you know, for myself, kind of particularly fascinating. The other thing too is the one on the left. I don't when I do these kind of cityscapes, I usually don't render the foreground with a lot of architectural detail. It's just something that like it's always, and I'll admit as a sketcher, the foreground I usually ground the image. I know where it is. I know what I'm going to do there. I know what the scale of the person is, and I kind of know where I'm standing as the viewer. Um, so you're feel immersed in the sketch, but generally I don't, as an artist, spend a whole lot of time rendering it. I think it's interesting on the one on the left, upper left, I actually rendered it. Like I like
Mm-hmm.
spent a whole lot of time rendering that sort of space, that sort of plinth, that sort of, your viewing platform for this environment. And I don't normally do that, so something different.
Yeah, that's true. And actually, I think the bottom right one is close-ish to this same. It's a little. It's about the same perspective too. Um,
And it is the last one in the series of that sort of
uh,
like train of thought too. That one has a different story. Um,
uh,
that one of the four was after doing the first three. The fourth one, for whatever reason, I was reminded of a speculative ideas project that I had done years and years ago. And it was one for a site in Dallas's Deep Ellum district. And the proposal was, kind of looking at a infill site, kind of a space between buildings, burned buildings in a downtown district. What do you put in the space in between, kind of idea. Um, because Deep Ellum in Dallas was a predominantly African American district, that had kind of this burgeoning music scene for decades. Really, the Dallas sound and a lot of amazing musical artists kind of came out of that area. It remained that way to this day. I mean, it's still kind of an artist enclave. It's been gentrified, quite a bit, but because of the art and performance space kind of concept, I was like, well, what if there was a performance space sort of inserted into that zone? And then, of course, took it to an extreme of scale and proportion and things like that. And this is a kind of a riff on that earlier idea that I had played with, years and years ago.
Yeah, what's what's nice about that fourth one, the lower right here, is that I don't know if you've done the sky. We're familiar with the streak lines here as a sky reference, but this sort of squiggle hatch of it creates this really heavy darkness contrasting against the more sort of stark or plainly rendered the building, the box, right, that's kind of floating. And I think why I'm drawn to this one is even going back to architecture school, like the idea of like a floating box has always been kind of a fascination of mine.
Right.
And maybe it's because of the period of time of deconstructivism and that what if statement. It's like, what is in the floating box, and how does it float and levitate? And so anyway,
Well, I mean, it's the anti-gravity moment, right? It's sort of, I mean, you and I both grew up with the work of Zaha, right? And so Zaha at the, you know, you know, she's, going to school in London. She's Iranian. She's a woman architect. Iraqi? I thought it was, Iraqi. Yes, Iraqi, not Iranian. Iraqi architect. But she's befriended Rem. She worked for Rem for a little while, but the work that she does at the Architectural Association, is the first word that often is used to describe her work of that period, that earliest work, is anti-gravity, and that concept, like as an architect and as an architecture student, as a designer, and their paintings are beautiful. I mean, they're absolutely gorgeous. Kind of modernist, but with a whole different flair to it. And it's clearly a building, like you say, like similar to the way you were sort of starting to talk about our sketches, where it's it's a building, it's a place, it's something, some kind of reality. Those were feelings that I often have with her work. And I think that anti-gravity moment that she was playing with, and then, contemporaries like, Cole Pimmelblau and, I can't think of others,
Morphosis,
Morphosis, yeah, Orca and Moss, that floating box, that floating architecture, like what's holding that up, why that move, how does it, is it on stilts, is, all those types of things were fascinating concepts. And then I think as you become more immersed in it, and then also mature as a designer, where you're just, not throwing away that idea, but sort of trying to really interrogate it for yourself. And this isn't an age thing. Again, it's more of a, like, a process thing. You have moments like this where, like, I mean, what's interesting to me about the sketch is I tried to make the box as pristine as I could, against this dark sky. And I'm so glad that you loved, I noticed sort of the squiggly black sky, because it's like, how do you draw night? How do you draw night with one pen and do it in a way where you're in that environment and you can still see because there's light around you? And so that was sort of the effort in this sketch, was trying to do that where it was, centered on the object, make it this pristine kind of box-like form, a little deconstructed. Um, the stilts and the structure kind of are a little kind of messy. But then there's a scale of other buildings that look older around it. That's intentional. There's a solitary figure in the foreground to give the whole environment scale. Um, and, you can almost imagine this is like a rainy scene. It's like this is like straight out of Akira. So
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And well, plus the box has these little scars in them.
right,
The sort of Death Star style, like scarring. I mean, I call them scars, but they're little slashes, openings maybe. Light comes in, something light comes out. Yeah, I did notice too, like the contrast to some sort of maybe somewhat classical proportion or sort of everyday architecture at the base with the punched windows, the regularity, stuff like that. And uh, I guess it's like there's also a thing about this which maybe we can end in a minute here because we 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 like to keep them short and sweet. But the idea of like if a building grew out of the out of its context, physically grew, and this, so you have the box that's kind of be supported by these sort of um, organic stilts, I guess, like this sort of uh, you know growth out of the ground, and like a mushroom, I suppose. It kind of pops up and then floats, and um, I think I'll just reference is kind of like the sort of dystopian, or like even the show that you got me watching, Peripheral, which
right,
is a book too, right? And how we render certain potential futures and things like that. And so, um, yeah, I mean, it's kind of a fun series of sketches to let me zoom out a little bit to kind of go back and forth on. Um, this one would be fun to see. Maybe I can take some time and build it into the computer and fly around that. But it's almost got that robotic, machine aesthetic.
right, right. Much more than any of the others. But yeah, I think that and I think that that's the whole thing is that in each of them there's a level of experimentation. Um, I just it's fun to see them in this kind of context and talk about them this way, um, knowing they're all done within a week of each other. Um, but at the same time, it both exploring a theme, but at the same time, sort of getting at other ideas that are in my head. Um, which, and the last one, like I described, it was sort of um, reinterrogating like an old idea and trying to at the same time experiment. The sky was an experimentation. I haven't done that a whole lot. I usually do those kind of sky experimentations with figures, and not necessarily like a scene like this. So that was new, especially in the sketchbook. So I enjoyed it. This was great.
Yeah, Jamie. So keep it up.
Right. Keep it up and then get ready for San Francisco, where we're going to be like doing this like in who knows where. Yeah.
I shouldn't be teasing you because I'm the one that needs a little bit of um, reps. I need the reps because this hand, if we go on those sketches, walking tours, I'm gonna cramp up.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all good.
But yeah, thank you, and thanks for those that watched live. It's been fun, and we will be back for episode 121.